Hi, everyone. We are live. Hopefully, you can see us right now. I have Jackie Boyle with me, and we are going to find out all about her background, what she's doing, and how she can inspire you to go down a similar path. So, hi, Jackie. It's nice to have you here
Hi,
today.
Nikki. Thank you so much for having me. This is going to be so fun.
I know. I'm super excited. So we are both currently working and building things on the side. So share with us your background in pharmacy, what your professional life looked like before you started your business, and what you are doing now.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. Um, I'll just say my journey into pharmacy was very much a winding road in that my parents didn't go to college. And so, as you're exploring as a very young person what you want to do for the rest of your life, my parents are like, we think college is a good idea. You should probably go. With the notion that I liked science a little bit and that I saw my mom actually had breast cancer when I was in 10th grade, and I saw how medications, in my mind, really saved her. I thought maybe I could do something with this interest. But long story short, finally discovered pharmacy and absolutely loved the intersection of helping people and being able to leave really meaningful impacts on folks' lives. But I know, like many of us, we have no idea what is out there as far as career paths that we could take. If we're lucky, we get connected to the right people, or we have mentors who ask us some really hard questions. And I was fortunate to have those experiences, as I think we do stumble into them at times. So I started in practice. I was a practice-based faculty member in ambulatory care. I discovered through APPEs and residency training that I really loved people and helping them be successful. And anytime I had the chance to build a relationship, to help someone reach a goal, to encourage someone in their day, those were the times when I felt most purposeful in life. And I kept asking myself, like, why is that? Why do I derive so much meaning and purpose and fulfillment from that? But then also, is there something with that notion that I could make into part of my career and build it into more of what I'm doing? Because I loved the patient care aspects of those pieces, like building the relationships, helping to get to know people, knowing about their dogs, their vacations, their, all the things going on in their life. Um, I don't think I was meant to be fit into the healthcare system as it is, to at least to that day when I left practice. There's a lot of challenges that I think we all know patients face and we face as healthcare workers there. But I had a mentor really encourage me to continue exploring this curiosity about what I really was most energized by. And he suggested, actually, thank you, Tim Ulbrich, if you're listening or you're out there, he suggested I reach out to a coach. I'm like, okay, I played sports my whole life. I had coaches who really were transformational in that way and developed me as a athlete and a person. But I never thought of coaching as a professional responsibility or opportunity. And so honestly, I was pretty skeptical of like, what is this? One, I've never done it before, I don't think. And how does one get involved with this process? And he said, well, why don't you work with a coach and or explore those opportunities? So I did. I hired my first coach, and to this day, that whole experience was so transformational for me because it really helped me dig deep into what I wanted, not only for my career, but my life as a big picture and impact and legacy and just digging into who you are naturally and leaning into your strengths. I think something, and I teach at a college. I'm an educator, I'm a preceptor, and I think something we do a lot is, what are your strengths and then what are your weaknesses? And I think there's a little bit of value to exploring what you're, not great at so that you can have people on your team who have those strengths. But I had coaches and mentors encourage me to, you know, instead of working on these things that you're bad at naturally, why don't you lean into the things that you're great at and
Mhm.
capitalize on those? So with that, around 2017, hired my first coach. Shout out Alex Barker. Absolutely loved that experience. And then joined the coaching team there at the Happy Farm D and absolutely loved it. I started to learn from him what coaching meant, how to help clients, how to really dig deep with people and get into what they wanted out of their life now that I had experienced that myself and didn't realize that you could use coaching for various purposes. Like you could hire a coach for career and getting clarity on that. You can hire a coach to work on executive skills. You can hire a coach to help start your side hustle. You can hire a coach for various reasons. And I think now that I've had one and I am one, I think I will always have one because I can tell that the time and space has been compressed to reaching goals for everything that I've been aspiring to. And the level at which coaching interactions are is so deep. Like I had a client a couple weeks ago say it's like an out of body experience. And that was the first time somebody described it that way, but I think it's like super accurate. So at any rate, I love that piece. I love education and the development of people. And I think combining those two into a unique style has been something that has allowed me to translate both skills across each setting. So when I'm teaching my clients something or developing content for them, my educational background helps with that. When I'm coaching, and helping people and my learners, my colleagues, those I'm working with, that translates to the other side as well. And I now, in hindsight, kind of see all these things connected. But at the time, it was really a journey of exploring myself, exploring where I fit in the world, getting past a lot of things that are scary and unknown. And that still is very much the case, as you know, with having a business, not this nice little pharmacy box, right? It's like, well, we're on this roller coaster, and some days are going to be really amazing, and other days everything's going to fail, and you just kind of know that that's the case. So that was a very long, winding answer, but it has been a long journey. I would say over the past 20 plus years. So
I love that. Yeah. We probably, I don't know, I graduated 20 years ago, so probably similar. And I think I just spoke at Purdue, and one of the things that they wanted me to speak about was that your career is not always linear. And so
yeah,
when we first, like I have our little book that they made us do. I think it was like the year before we went on rotations, where it said like what you're gonna do after school, or like what your goals were, you know?
yeah,
And mine was to be CEO of a pharmaceutical company. Well, at the time, right, like I thought maybe I would go into pharma, but then I realized I went to school for 6 years. I might as well use my education. And so I went into community or retail. But little did I know, like once you kind of get in there, you're siloed. So it's very hard to transition into other spaces because they want experience, but no one will give you experience because you have no experience. And so it's like this trap. But I had to outline to the pharmacy students that I did. I jumped around. The path was, a windy trail. It wasn't just I started here and now I'm the chief operating officer. Like, no,
yeah,
it doesn't happen that way. And for various reasons, it's not always money or status or title, or it's a lot of different things. It's environment or where your family feels like home is, or your children, or other things that you just have to take roles that you weren't ever expecting. So I love that. So are you still in academia? You said you're still teaching,
yeah.
you still precepting, so that's incredible. And then so you're doing coaching. Are you doing specific coaching or what kind of coaching do you do?
Yeah, yeah. So my primary coaching clients are career or executive in nature. So anyone who is looking to make a change, and sometimes that is a change within themselves, a change of skill or development in regards to where they want to grow in their leadership. Sometimes it is a career change and really gaining that clarity, or as you mentioned, understanding how to talk about your transferable skills and the things that you've done in your career in a way that is marketable and is also desirable by that hiring manager, because I think this is something we're never taught, although we're trying to teach it more now, is that when you go into a new environment, 100% of the clients I've worked with have never accounted for everything they've done. Like they don't have all their accomplishments down. And that's probably a very pharmacist thing, right? Like we're
Yes.
very humble, and which is great. We need that humility. But I think there's a way to be humble and also recognize the value and experience that you bring to everything that you do. And many of us haven't had that time carved out to really reflect on that, and I think that's been true for my executive clients as well. I also do a little bit of business coaching in the mix. So, pharmacists or other healthcare providers who are launching something on the side, I always find it fun to work with fellow entrepreneurs and some who are even outside of pharmacy as well. So, but I would say primarily it's the career executive group. That's really the majority of my folks, and just helping people identify what their next step is, whether that is a promotion or advancement, or maybe it's pivoting to a new path, or maybe it is growing a side hustle. And sometimes you have to dig in to find out what is that answer. Like if I know and I'm itching for a change, or I'm feeling like, oh, I don't know what I want to do, but it's not this. When you're coming from that place of like angst and fear sometimes, or frantic feelings, it's hard to make a change that's meaningful if that's the state that we're starting from. So a lot of my work is really focused first on mindset shifts and really powerful tools that are needed in the positive psychology spaces where I'm trained to bring us to a place of that calm clarity that we need to actually make decisions that make sense with every other part of our life as well.
I love that. I think, you touched on this a little bit when you said you kind of like fell into pharmacy, and I feel very, same feelings to that. And pharmacy was not something that I actually thought, okay, I'm gonna go to pharmacy school. It just kind of happened. I always say it was like a fluke. I got the last spot. But I was a lost soul. I didn't even know, and still, it's like I'm still trying. I feel like so many pharmacists are caught in that space, and actually people in general. Is that we just don't know who we truly are or what we truly desire. And for me, I don't know if how this was for you, but throughout my whole entire pharmacy career, I just felt this pull, like to do more, be more, something, and I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And my husband was like, "What is wrong with you? Like, you have a great job,
Right.
you get to work from home,
Yeah.
you get to be involved with the kids' lives. What more do you want?" And I was like, "I need to feel like I'm valued." And I feel like you hit the nail on the head. Like, pharmacists we just don't, we're not out there saying, like, "Oh, I did this today, I did this today, they did this today." Like a lot of our expertise and knowledge is hidden behind the scenes. And that's why it's so difficult these days. I'm sure, as you know, in academia, nobody sees the true value of a pharmacist because they're like, you just slap a label on a bottle with pills in it. Like, what's the big deal? And it's like,
Yeah.
there's so much more to it than that, but we're not given the credit.
Oh, there's probably a whole other hour that we need for what's going on in the profession, what's changing. I'm an internal optimist by nature, so I always see that, in the disruption that's happening and kind of the um, news headlines and things that you see, that there are so many opportunities that, again, are not being shared as widely, that are happening, and there are conversations at associations and excitement happening with state law changes and advocacy efforts, that I feel like we're at this precipice of pharmacy as a profession. And my take is like, it's going to be amazing. Like, I think the future is just bright in so many different ways in the evolution of our profession. But we have to get those stories out there. Like, think about how many times a day a pharmacist saves a life.
Oh,
You know, thousands, hundreds of thousands. We just don't, those stories don't get published, right? And think
yeah.
about how many people have fulfilling work or parts of their work that are really fulfilling. And we're not sharing those stories enough about like, well, what do you love about your job? That if we could get more of that out into the world, I think that would just be so amazing for the profession, and also for the public to see
Hmm.
what's really happening in different areas across the board, in our profession, because there are so many bright spots that I think are not being spotlighted at the moment.
I would totally agree with you. And I feel too, like I feel like our future is in pharmacists building, like we have to build our own future. I feel like there's so many things that we can do, coaches or in nutrition or functional medicine or health and wellness, like all these things that we can do not under a corporation, but as our own. Coming out and doing them. And I feel like that's going to be the shift of pharmacy, finally speaking up, finally getting valued, getting that provider status, and being able to be valued in the healthcare system.
Yeah, I'm excited for the future, and also to uncover with colleagues and learners that entrepreneurial spirit of, I think pharmacy is a little bit checklist followers. We like the rules, and entrepreneurship is quite the opposite of that, right? And so it's how do we hold those two truths in parallel, that like patient care and the right medicine to the right patient at the right time. All of that is extremely important. But also, there are places in your career where you could take safe risks and you can look around for mentors, you can look around for coaches, you can look around for partners to really not feel like you're in a silo in that regard either. Because, kudos to you, Nikki, for starting this community. I think more communities like this will, I hope, help people see that we're all just figuring it out, and we're leaning on each other. We're having these conversations, we're asking for support, and you don't have to do it alone. But it's also a really fun, creative way to see what sticks, see what you
Mhm.
love to do, try it out, fail, learn from it, try again, make it better. And I think that's an interesting dichotomy I think about a lot, is like how we are naturally maybe more of the checklist folks on the healthcare team, but then also how do you hold that alongside this more entrepreneurial mindset of, okay, but you can take risks and like you're going to have to if you want to start a business. So
Yeah.
that just comes to mind a lot for me.
No, I love that. And I think you hit it's dead on, right? Like I love checklists.
I do
Love
too.
checking them off,
I
you
got a new
know?
planner. I had a planner I didn't even finish. I'm like, I need a new planner. Did I need it? No, but like I wanted it. I'm like, this one looks a little bit different format. Like, I like it. But I'm also probably a bit more type B as a pharmacist than most, which is why I didn't really fit in a traditional patient care realm either. I'm like, oh man, to really do documentation, I did it, but it was really hard. Like it took 100% of my energy, and I would get home and I'm like, I have to write another note today. I have zero energy left to give to myself, to anyone else. Um, the rest of it was great. It was just like all the logistics and all the structure of it. I'm like, if only now I know there's a lot of AI integration that could take notes for you with oversight. So maybe it's different now. But I know for me at the time, I'm like, wow, like that's just something I'm bad at. And I just had to own up to it.
So knowing that you're not the typical type A pharmacist, like what skills do you feel like you had that you didn't realize that you had that helped you in your journey to become a coach?
Yeah. I love this question. And I think what I often ask, my clients, especially those who are thinking about building businesses too, is what do people ask you for help with? Like, what do
Hmm.
people come to you for? They're like, hey, can I bounce this idea off of you? Like, I'm having this idea about going down this career path, but I don't know where to start. Or they don't see something in themselves that I saw in them, like a strength or a skill. I'm like, you're really good at that. And they're like, well, no one's ever told me this before. So I think it was starting to pay attention to, and this was very early on, even during residency, really, when I had some mentees who were students, of people sharing that with me. One, to say, like, you told me something no one's ever told me about myself before. And I'm like, I did. And then also just people coming to you for help with different things. Like, okay, I'm making a big decision about my career and I really want a sounding board for that. Like, I'm here for it. I love having those hard, vulnerable, real conversations with people and just holding that space for them to feel like they can express the thoughts that maybe they've only told themselves before. I had that with patients too, patients, and again, that was a downside to that was a deep, like a weakness, I'll say, of patient care for me, is I wanted to spend so much time with patients. Like
Yes,
my
yeah.
visits were almost never fitting the time block. But like we get into these conversations that were existential, and I'm like, I can't just leave. Like this person's telling me about really serious stuff in their life, right? Or oh gosh. And to me, I'm like, this is why I went into healthcare. Like I wanted to
Yeah.
be that person who was going to stay and listen. I wanted to be that person who was going to help someone finally decide, like, okay, this medication is helping me, or maybe it's not. Or I wanted to be that person they felt comfortable and safe saying, I haven't taken this medication in 2 years. And that happened. And I'm like, okay. So I started seeing and getting feedback that I had these abilities, but really, again, had no idea what that meant. I was like, so what do I do with all this information now? So I think it's allowing yourself to explore those things where people are coming to you for help, or the things you naturally are like, okay, I want to spend more hours on X, whatever X is. Is it those conversations that are really deep? Is it, spending time fixing algorithms? Is it, really organizing your pharmacy and the inventory? Like, what is the thing that's really energizing to you and something you naturally are like, oh, I am half an hour later than I thought I would be. Whoops. um, and those moments were data points for me to say, okay, like these patterns are starting to make sense. But it wasn't until I had a coach that I really put it all together, because you don't really have in your head um, that sounding board other than yourself. And we often tell ourselves the same stories over and over again. So I just think that's another huge value of having a coach. They hold up that mirror to you to say, okay, what I'm hearing is, and then you express to them, like, yeah, or no, or I've never thought of it that way. And that's just one example. But I think it was all of those pieces kind of coming together at once.
I love that. So, as far as what you're doing now, you're doing kind of part-time business coaching. What is your plans for the future? What does that look like for you?
Yeah. And I love this question. And I also feel challenged by this question because, for the reasons we talked about, I share with students all the time this story about association meeting I went to probably in 2016, 15. And it was about careers, of course, because I'm like, oh, yes. And it was individuals sharing their career paths at all different stages, like new practitioners, mid career, and then folks who were later in their career. And I was most intrigued by the folks. I mean, they were all amazing stories, but I went to the session because I'm like, okay, I'm going to find out the secret sauce from the folks at the end of their career about what I need to do to figure out what I want to do. And every single one of them, I think there were four panelists, every single one of them said that same exact thing, Nikki. They said, I could have never predicted my career if I planned it.
Wow.
And so that has always stuck with me, number one. Number two, I'm loving what I'm doing. So I'm leaning into all of it. And how it's been transforming over time is that the two parts are overlapping a lot more. So the coaching and the education are starting to overlap a lot more, even pretty much in all areas of my faculty life. I'm doing things related to the coaching work that I do. And then vice versa, that faculty role, and I'm an administrator as well. That plays well into running a business and also teaching in that business. And so when speaking opportunities come up, when I have the chance to write something or do something that's similar to what I do in my faculty life, it is all aligning. And that feels really amazing. Slowly over the past few years, I've had more time be able to be carved out for coaching work, which has been super fun. So I'm very appreciative that we have a way as faculty members. Most institutions have a consulting arrangement that you can come to an agreement with your
Okay.
bosses. And so I am grateful that I do have carved out time during the work week to be able to do this work. And I think that's also a demonstration of the dual purpose of benefiting, the both places. So in the long run, I don't know. I keep leaning into what feels energizing, doing more of it. I think I'll always be a coach, regardless of what I'm doing, now that I know that that's what I want to do. And so the more I do it, the more I'm like, oh, I just want to do more of this. So I hate that that was a non-answer answer for you, but for me,
No, it's
that's
more
where
of
I'm at.
clarity for you, and for our audience as well to know that like you can do both and it fits together. Like for you, that's amazing that you have an agreement with your institution that you could do your business like during the workday. That's
Yeah, I'm in my
phenomenal.
office right now.
And most people would like dream of that, right? Like you get to do both
I feel
you have
so
like the best of
fortunate.
both worlds. Yeah. So I mean, for if that were me, I don't know that I would want to leave. Like unless like you scaled and you obviously couldn't have time for your 9 to 5. But it seems like a phenomenal arrangement that you're
Thank
getting
you.
really good benefits from. So
Yeah, I
I
will
love
say
it.
it wasn't always this way. So
Mhm.
it started as a lot of nights and weekends, a lot of nights and weekends, and then I have two little girls, and they're 9 and 3. And as we start growing our family, I'm like, okay, like I can't do that forever. Like I want to spend time with them. Of course, when you have young kids, like your sleep hours are not predictable and neither are theirs. So sometimes those early mornings when I was doing coaching stuff didn't work out anymore, or those later evenings when it's like, okay, we need a couple of baths going on and, dinner made and the house needs to be picked up from 100 Barbie things all over the floor. So I'm grateful for every step, but I will say it has definitely been an evolution over almost 9 years now.
Wow, that's fantastic. So are you, just quick question
Yeah.
about the institution where you're working at, because you have this entrepreneurial pull, you're building stuff, you're integrating, do you is your institution implementing any kind of entrepreneur programs for the pharmacy students? Are they doing anything in that direction?
Yeah, great question. And interestingly, the educational standards did update last year, and the specific call out to entrepreneurship is not in the new standard directly. However, there are a lot of references to problem solving, innovation, and as such, we do have a business plan project that's in our required curriculum. Students have to work with a group to come up with an innovative service or product for a pharmacy site of their choosing, which is pretty cool. We brought that to the institution. Again, shout out Tim Ulbrich. This was back in like 2014, 15. We started
Wow.
that project. Aside from that, though, about a year and a half ago, we entered into a partnership with a community pharmacy network in Ohio. And CPS in Ohio has been amazing. We are bringing provider status implementation to our curriculum in real time. So, as the community pharmacies are implementing new medical billing opportunities, new patient care services, we're now able to teach that in the classroom in real time and also provide students with a really interesting appy experience because they can work with the network. We have an internship where we have students working with the network as well. And then we also have different pharmacy sites across Ohio. There are about 100 pharmacies in our network that are doing really amazing, innovative stuff in pharmacy. And so, with those and some other changes we've been making to our practice management curriculum primarily, I've got a, I think, pretty healthy thread of entrepreneurship and development of new stuff. Now, can we get to it all? No, I wish there were more curriculum hours in the day, but we're confined to what we can do, and we try to maximize it as much as possible and really give the students with a healthy foundation of what it looks like to be able to build their own thing in the future. So,
My goodness, I love that. I love that the pharmacy schools are realizing that pharmacists are wanting to like practice more towards entrepreneurship. And so they're bringing that into the program. It's just, I wish
you
20
know,
years ago
yeah,
that was in my program. Things would look a totally different right now. And the opportunities, like we didn't have cell phones. I mean, I had like a little flip phone thing. Like they have the world at their fingertips and so many opportunities that they could do. And I just love that they're being able to teach them how to do that, those types of things. So,
yeah. Yeah,
so
I was
if
gonna say I remember when I got my first smartphone, it was during residency, and I think it was an iPhone 4, and I think it was like one of the last people in the whole department. Me and my co-resident, we had flip phones still, and sometimes I'm like, I wish we could go back to those days, but on the other hand,
Yes,
it is really nice to be able to have a device to work from, really, and you can even run most of your business on it now. So
I know,
there are a
yeah.
lot of benefits, but I also sometimes miss the simpler times, so to speak, of flip phone days and when we weren't as connected all the time.
Accessible, I know, yes. Well, we have a guest in our waiting or listening in. Do we have any questions? Otherwise, well, if there's no other questions or anything, if a pharmacist mom is listening to you right now and feels inspired but just really overwhelmed, kind of like think back to your beginning stages, what would you want her to hear right now?
Oh, well, first, hello, great to meet you. Happy to connect, but also you can start very small, and I think sometimes when we think about opening a business, number one, that feel that like the phrase sounds very overwhelming. But then once you realize that it's really just a series of very small steps and that there are tons of resources and support out there for you, both in the pharmacy profession and outside. I didn't even know what a small business development center was before I found out like every county has one and their goal is to help small businesses and you can meet with them for free and find out
Wow.
how to set up your LLC. Just very tiny things. And I think if you could take it one step at a time and also lean on those people around you who want to support you, then it will all work out. And the only way it doesn't is if you don't do it. So that would be, I think, the message I wish I could have had earlier on when I was like, opening an LLC, like that's terrifying. I don't know anything about anything, but you do. You know a lot. You're a pharmacist, you're brilliant. Number one, you have foundational business skills from school or practice. You have the ability to think critically about things. You have problem solving. Like there's so many skills that pharmacists have that they probably aren't maximizing. So you have it in you. Now it's just taking that first step and seeing where it goes.
I love that. So simply put, just one step at a time, accomplishing those milestones, checking those boxes off.
Yeah,
That's it.
different checklist, right?
Well, thank you so much for being on here. I
Thank
really
you,
appreciate
Nikki.
it. If someone wants to connect with you, what is the best way that they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, yeah, I'm most active on LinkedIn. So if you want to reach me there, you could just find me and send me a message, and I'll get back to you within a business day or so.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate it. And I'm so glad we had a chance to speak.
Yes, this was so
And
fun.
yes, and I will have to save our other conversation to another day of
Yes,
the future of pharmacy.
yes, for sure.
Well, everybody else, catch us next week on our live interviews with pharmacists that are building income and freedom outside of the traditional roles.